Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you some practical and useful tips in Canva. For starters, using Alt to resize. Now typically you would grab the corners and size it like this. If you just hold Alt, grab one of the corners and drag, and it keeps it centered. Now this works for any element in any picture. Another thing you can do with Alt is copy and paste. Instead of the typical Control C, Control V, you can just simply hold on Alt and drag the element. You'll notice as well that as I hold Alt, you get those numbers and the guides, right? So this helps with alignment too. So let's say I wanted to bring this circle over here. You see that 122? I can now grab this element and drag it to about 122 so that everything is aligned properly. So that's like 3 tips in one. The next tip I have is something that happens quite a bit. And for example, if I take this image and let's say I want to move it around and position it, you see that it's going inside the grids that I have on the workspace. To avoid that, you simply have to hold Control so that you could move about freely without it going into the other grids, or perhaps you're using frames. So that's a great way to avoid that. Now in this example, sometimes you have so many things on your workspace and it's hard to pick the element that you want to work on, okay? So a way you could cycle through what's on your workspace is simply by pressing Tab. So currently the selection's on the triangle. If I click on Tab, it's gonna switch to the circle, and now it's on the square. This is great if you have really complex designs with so many elements, and for whatever reason you just can't pick that one element, use Tab to cycle through. Importing images, typically you would click on Uploads, click on Upload Files, and your image would upload. But you could just drag and drop your image directly into the workspace. And at an instant, your image will be added to the workspace. Now this also works for web images. So if I'm on my browser here and I right click and copy image, if I come back to this area, let me delete this and just click on Control V, it's going to import the image onto the workspace. The next 2 tips are relating to photos. And one of the things I like to use is called autofocus, and that gives an image a blurry background. So I'm going to click on this image and click on Edit Image at the top here. We're going to cycle through here and you'll see under Tools, Autofocus. Now the reason why I would use this for a picture like this is because the trees in the background are a little distracting. Now you see by default, it's pretty intense. I may lower that a little bit, but this is very useful for, especially if you're using a camera phone or a DSLR mirrorless camera with like a kit lens. With those types of lenses, I don't want to get into all the details, but it's a bit more effort to get this type of look. So you can artificially get that same effect with this autofocus function. Now, if you go into templates and you search for collage, you're going to see a myriad of collage styles that you can use for your photos and even for like social media posts. So if you have like a series of photos that you want to show off, you could put them in these collages, and then you could even animate them. So you can make a really cool slideshow out of these collage templates. These next couple tips has to do with elements. Let's say I want to search for some 3D text. I'm going to type that in and I'll select this one. You're going to notice now this section pops up called Magic Recommendations. And what that is if I click See All, it's going to give me similar elements that we just selected here. And this works for a lot of the elements, not all of them, but it will give me matching elements that may be similar in design or give me other related elements. Like if I wanted to click on this element here and put that as part of my graphic, it just makes designing much easier. And as you see here, as I selected that one, it recommended more of these similar elements. Very useful tool. Along with this, if you click on the information button here, it's going to give you some information on who contributed this element. So if you click on View More by this person, it's going to now show you all the work that this person did here. And as you can see, a lot of the elements are similar or could work well with this element. And you can also come back in the info panel here and save it as a favorite, add to a certain folder. And then there is see more like this. So again, kind of like the magic recommendations too. This next little tip I started doing not too long ago, and I wonder why I didn't do it sooner. But if you go into more here on the very left, you'll find QR code. Now, if you click on that and I enter my website and I click on generate QR code, you see here, it'll give me a QR code and I can put this on my design. Let's say you have a business card or a poster or a social media post, whatever you're doing. And now what I'm going to do is scan it. And you'll see my website pop up there. This next tip could be found in Canva's video editor. So what you see here is that we have a few elements, my logo, name, and social media icons here. On this slide, same thing, but I've moved the elements and then I've moved them again. There is a transition called match and move. If I click on transitions here, we're going to click on change transition. You see it says match and move here. This will only work if you use the same elements between the slides. So let me play this so you can see how it works. So it's going to slide into the position of the next slide. So it's a great way to get a different type of animation. And again, it'll only work if you use the same elements. If you change the elements between slides, it's just going to fade in and fade out. Now, with that being said, it's given me some ideas on how to utilize that for short animations. So for example, I'm going to bring this animation in and start it from this side. Then I'm going to duplicate the slide. But this time I'm going to bring the element towards the right. Then I'm going to add the match and move transition, and you'll see you'll have an option for the duration. I'm going to bring it all the way to 1.5 just so we can see the animation. Now you'll see between slides, it's going to give you the impression that the element's actually moving there. The last tip I have for you is the background remover. Now this is only available for pro users. For me, this is well worth the money, especially being a content creator. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Edit Image and click on Background Removal. Now you'll see here that the background has been completely removed. Now the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I use other editing softwares and Canva's background remover is the best out there in terms of accuracy compared to something like Luminar Neo. It does a great job, but when it comes to complicated hair, it gets a little funky. Let me show you how accurate it is. If I remove the background here, you would think it would have a hard time with all these little stray hairs in between there. Off the bat, it looks good, but let's just see how it looks with a background. So I'm going to create this, send it backward. If I zoom in here, you see how accurate that background is. Now this is probably not the best color, so let me change it to say a blue. There we go. If I zoom in here, that's really tough to do with some of the editors that I've used. There are workarounds and stuff, but one click, Canva is the king of background removal, at least from my experiences. So there you have it, my friends, my personal, practical, and useful tips that I can offer you. Be sure to check out this video on how to use Smartmockups in Canva, or if you want to learn some basics on thumbnail design, check out this video as well. Until the next video, my friends, I'll see you when I see you.